Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Well, I mean, seismic shifts have been occurring in the New Patriotic Party over some period of time. And now it is becoming increasingly difficult to make bold predictions about the future of the party. There are trends that we can clearly discern. You understand? And we can say for sure that since the coup d'etat against Paul Afoko and his administration, a certain group within the party appears to be gaining ascendancy. And with the gaining of ascendancy of that group, the party, the more they gain ascendancy, the more the party appears to be disintegrating. Okay. So increasingly, the party is falling into the hands of what at best can be described as a cabal, with a vested interest in foisting an ideology and a spiritual leadership on the party that did not exist before. Okay. And I think that this has its very dangerous consequences. But we'll come to discuss those dangerous consequences much later. I think it's important to pay attention to what people in the party themselves are saying. And one of the people that I respect most in that party is the celebrated economist, Mr. Kwame Pieni. And Mr. Kwame Pieni, over the last 2-3 years, has lamented about the state of the economy and the fact that within the party itself and even outside the party, there's not much scope to discuss alternatives. And Mr. Kwame Pieni has been very deeply worried about the state of the party. Another person who should have some clout within the party is Mr. Kodwo Pieni, who was Minister of Presidential Affairs under President Kufuor and Chief of Staff under President Kufuor, and who largely is seen as somebody who reflects the thoughts of Mr. Kufuor. And he has said that there's an attempt to hijack the party, and that this is not the party they joined and sought to build. You understand? Because increasingly, many people are being kept out, of the framework for decision making. That must be worrying if this is how Mr. Kodwo Pieni sees the party. Okay. Then there is Togbe Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. And I've known Togbe Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo over a long period of time. I've known his passion for the party, and indeed he was one of the first 11 who joined in organizing Kubi Preku, and has been very close to the current president before, and was equally very close to former President Kufuor. And he feels so terrible about the state of the party today, and also amplifies the fact that there appear to be a certain process underway of hijacking the party to serve the narrow interest of a cabal. Indeed, it was Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo who first broached the idea of Mr. Lantre Martin becoming an independent candidate. You understand? And it is significant. Now, I've heard from Mr. Former President Kufuor himself, and it is clear that he felt restrained. If you listen to what he said as well, it's clear that he felt restrained. Now, what did he say? He says, the problem of the party is infighting. What does that mean? Fighting over what? Fighting for what? So again, from where I sit, my interpretation is that there's a struggle against that small group which is seeking to completely dominate the party. Okay? One of the people I've heard that I find interesting is this gentleman whose slogan for the election is Atopa. Former Greek minister, now a presidential candidate aspirant. And he's saying in very clear terms that the party is not in a state which will enable it to win elections. Of course, that raises many questions. If he's contesting to be flag bearer of a party which is not likely to win the next elections, why is he there? What is he contesting for? And so on. But he's made that statement. And that statement for me is significant on many accounts. One of the accounts that makes this statement very important is that you're also talking about the son of Bafo Akoto, who in some quarters, not all quarters, in some quarters is credited for the formation of the NLM, leading to what we have today as the New Patriotic Party. Okay? So he has a history which is important, and he also has gravitas on his own. In fact, one of the reputations he has earned is that he's quite close to the current president. But everybody describes him as the friend of Nana Akufo-Addo, and so on. So what he says ought to be taken with some seriousness, and so on. And he thinks that the party is not in a state to win the next election. There are many other people who have spoken that we can take, and so on. But for me, there's something very, very significant which has happened in the party. No matter how, no matter what, and so on. At the Super Delegates Conference, Mr. Kennedy Agyapong came second. There must be a reason for it. There must be a reason. Okay? Or there must be some reasons for it. Now, I travel around this country quite a lot. And when I'm in Accra, I move. If I tell you the mileage I do per day, you'll be shocked. But I move quite a lot. And I have heard taxi drivers, truck drivers, commercial drivers, saying that Mr. Kennedy Agyapong is the only hope. I'm sure you have heard. And that he's the only person speaking the truth. That all the others are not speaking the truth. Now, many of these people in the slum areas and so on see themselves in him. That behavior that those of you, every tower people see as uncouth and so on, is their behavior. They will not condemn themselves. They cannot condemn themselves. They like it. They love it. And they see this as speaking truth to power. They love it. Okay? So, and sometimes I'm shocked when I meet people and they say that, look, as for me, my candidate in the next election is Kennedy Agyapong. I'm so shocked. And I ask them why. They say, he speaks the truth. He will punish these bad leaders for us when we give him power. So I was beginning to think that he could cause an upset. Unfortunately, over the last 10 days, he has shot himself in the foot. Maybe even in the head. You understand? The moment he tried to distance himself from the very things which are exciting grassroots and people in the streets, he lost it. Clearly lost it. So today, those people who are looking at him and saying that this is the only one who is speaking the truth, this is the only one who will clear the swamp, as Trump used to say, and so on.
Drain the swamp.
What are they making of the Kennedy Agyapong candidacy again? Now he even denies that he has accused the party leaders of corruption. That is NDC machination. So, I don't know why he did that to himself. I simply don't know why he did that to himself. You understand? So he has a problem now, and I cannot predict how this is going to pan out in the elections on November 4th and going forward. I cannot predict how it's going to pan out. Now, there are so many surprises in the New Patriotic Party. So many surprises. One of my biggest surprises is to hear Agyapong heaping praises on Bawumia. I mean, I could not believe it, because I followed his campaign very, very closely. And to be honest with you, he said some of the most inspiring things. His posture was illuminating. In fact, he is the one who gave hope that the New Patriotic Party still has a future. Because he criticized the governance system. He pointed to the fact that ultimately it's the interest of the people who should drive party organization and so on. And he spoke about imposing an establishment candidate on the party and so on. Bam! All of a sudden, he's praise singing like all the others. I couldn't believe it. Is this Agyapong? But something must have happened. And in politics, many things happen. So either all of them have happened, or some of them have happened, or one of them has happened. So one of the shocks that I've had is a very, very quick turnaround by somebody who has paid his dues to the NPP. He's one of the young men who has really paid his dues to the NPP. And in spite of the fact that he could not manage to join the first 5 in the last primaries and so on, everybody still thought that he had a future. Now that he's endorsing everything that everybody is against, I'm not so sure what the future holds for him. And indeed, the question that people are asking is that, what then is the motive that drives him? What in science they call the motive force. Is it principle? What is it? I can't believe it. One of the shocks that I've had. Now, the other shock that I've had, wow, and that was a huge shock. The day before the primaries, I was in this very studio. And I listened to an interview granted by Catherine Afeku. Is that how she's called?
Yes, Catherine Afeku.
In which she spoke about principle. And how principle should be the only factor in the choice of candidates. And so on. She even spoke about the need to rise above petty partisan interests and so on. And she said that she had a commitment to Mr. Alan Chebati because of his vision. His vision. Not the party vision, his vision. My brother, in less than 1 week. Hey! Waiting will they see. Come on! Waiting will they hear. So I went back and I played that interview. And Massa, my shock. So I sit back and say, so when people speak in public, do they really mean it? Some people, not all. Do they really mean what they say and so on? Total shock. You understand? There are so many of them who have shocked all of us, not just me. I'm sure that some of them have even managed to shock themselves. You understand? But that's just part of the analysis. I mean, this surprising, shocking developments, the twists and turns and so on, And I'm beginning to wonder, hey, what is happening here? You know? Now, one of the most dramatic things that has happened within the New Patriotic Party over this period is the decision of Mr. Alan Kyerematen to go independent. And I'm sitting back and I'm wondering, what is it that pushes somebody like Alan Kyerematen to go independent, given his history in the party? And I know a bit of that history. In fact, a lot of that history, public history, is distorted. But I know a bit of the true history. And I've been having some conversations with some friends in the party who know that that history is distorted. You know, for example, we are told that the New Patriotic Party is the natural inheritor of the UGCC. And that its base is the UGCC. Nothing can be further away from the truth. It is not true. You know why? Because after the 1951 elections, the UGCC was completely liquidated. It didn't exist. It was completely liquidated. Okay. Now, if you look at the list of founding members of the of the NLM, from which the New Patriotic Party claims its ancestry, most of them were active members of the Convention People's Party. So, if you're looking at history, you can begin to see the New Patriotic Party as a breakaway faction of the CPP. That is what it really is. It's a breakaway faction of the CPP. And if you doubt me, check. R.R. Amponsa, who became the chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, his origins are in the CPP. Joe Appiah, his origins are in the CPP. Victor Owusu, who became the presidential candidate of the party in 1979, was a CPP man. Check, go and check. You understand? So the bulk, the core, which formed the NLM, which eventually became the New Patriotic Party, is a breakaway faction of the CPP. They broke away partly on account of Ashanti nationalism. Partly on account of Ashanti nationalism, which expressed itself those days as a fight for a federated Republic of Ghana. Federation. And then, of course, cocoa politics was also essential in that whole thing and so on. But this is just to demonstrate that some of the history which is in the public domain is a false history. Okay? But forget the false history. Now let's move to the now and the future. So I'm saying that the Alan Kyerematen I know is passionate about the New Patriotic Party. In fact, he was one of those young men then whose money, whose brain power and so on led to the emergence of the New Patriotic Party. How come that all of a sudden he has decided to call it quits? Is it that he no longer sees any hope of reformation? Is that the reason? Is it that he thinks that the party has come to a conjuncture now where new forces have to be constructed in order to save the country and so on? Whatever it is, that idea of the possibility of people rallying behind an individual rather than a political party machine is being tested. How it turns out, I cannot tell. How it turns out, I cannot tell. But in the next few months and so, it will become very clear how it turns out. Now, there is also a lot of agitation, contestation, and so on in the party. And one of the contests appears to be between the Ashanti regional chairperson of the party and Mr. Kennedy Agyapong. And they're raising very serious issues. You understand? The Ashanti Regional Chairman attempted to link the death of the investigative journalist Ahmed Suale to Mr. Kennedy Agyapong. And I felt wheezy about it. You understand? Because murder is a very serious charge. And to put murder on somebody must be done carefully and so on. But he managed to do that. And he made a statement to the effect that the next time he's threatened by Mr. Kennedy Agyapong, he would go to the police and seek his arrest. Because some time ago, when Mr. Kennedy Agyapong threatened Ahmed Suale, he ended up dead. Of course, Mr. Kennedy Agyapong's team didn't take this lying down. They came very strong. Now, what did they say? One of his spokespersons actually addressed a press conference in Kumasi and said that if you are looking for the killer of Ahmed Suale, ask Vice President Bawumia. Because he should know. He is chairman of the police council. He has powers to investigate his own. Ask him why the name of the killers of Ahmed Suale has not been disclosed. Wow! These are serious allegations. He does not stop there. He goes forward to say that some time ago, there was an altercation between Chairman Wontumi and a leading member of the party in the Ashanti region. And that leading member of the party in the Ashanti region died under unexplained circumstances. And then he asked the question, would it be okay to blame Chairman Wontumi for that death? He did not provide the answer. So you can see how things are shaping up and how things are moving. And if I were a member of the New Patriotic Party, I'll be most uncomfortable. Strangely, you don't have that sense of discomfort when you see them, when you hear them. There is some vim. I don't know where that vim is coming from. I listened to one of them who says that they are winning not just hands down, but landslide in this condition. So, well, I'm not so sure how to conclude. But I saw some public opinion survey yesterday. And there are so many of these things. This particular one was attributed to, what is it, Info Analytica.
Global Info Analytics.
Analytics and so on. I hope it is true. There are so many things you don't know what to believe or not. And the one I saw actually gives Vice President Bawumia 28% and gives John Mahama 52%. If it's true, there must be a lot of worry within the New Patriotic Party. 28%, this has never happened in our history since 1992. You understand? And they should be worried, you know. I sit back and I begin to wonder why this push for Bawumia. What are they seeing that the rest of the population is not seeing? What is it that is driving the Bawumia for president campaign? You know, and I sit down and I'm just wondering, is it just incumbency? And if it's just incumbency, isn't it empty? Is it about the performance of the economy? Bawumia himself does not admit that the economy has done well. So it cannot be about the performance of the economy. But you see, so many things are happening in the New Patriotic Party. And for me, this one, it nearly killed me. My brother, this one, I'm telling you. What? I heard Alhaji Dr. Timothy Bawumia. I heard him myself. saying that now, what he is implementing is the vision of the president, not his own vision. And that if he's elected, he will now be given the opportunity to implement his own vision. Senator, can you believe it? So, if things are going wrong, put it on Akufo-Addo, not him. Because it is not his vision. Yeah. As for his vision, it will come when he's elected. Hey, Bawumia! How can you say this? But he has said it. That what is being implemented today is not the Bawumia vision. Because he's only vice president. But wait, when he takes over as president, he will implement his own vision. What he forgets is that if he can, for 8 years, implement a vision that he does not share, then he's not qualified to be a leader. If he can implement a vision that he does not share with vigor for 8 years, how can we trust him? How can we make him our leader and so on? It's a very important question that the Bawumia camp must be reflecting on. Then there's the president himself, and my brother has mentioned it already. The president says that, look, don't look up to me for anything now. He says, I, more than all of you, know that the situation is very bad, but wait for the next leader. So he says, don't look up to him, wait for the next leader. So if we are waiting for the next leader to resolve the problems that confront us, what is he doing in the Flagstaff house now? What is he doing in the Flagstaff house now? Where he said that we shouldn't worry about him. As for him, he's finished. He knows that we have a lot of problems and so on. But the next leader will solve the problem for us. I think we are patiently waiting for the next leader. Because this country is in crisis.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm not PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.
Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.